Good evening all, and thank you for joining us. Apologies for being a couple of minutes late. We're just trying to familiarise ourselves even with Facebook Live. Thanks ever so much for joining us. I'm Chris and this is Dave here today. We've got Danny Webber, a sports nutritionist, joining us a little later to answer some of the key questions and some of the things we want to talk you through over the next 7 days. This is the final countdown, as they say. You are very nearly there and you're within touching distance of achieving your goals. As I said before, there's myself, Chris, Dave, and we've got Danny joining us, but also behind the scenes, last time we had Amanda Spielberg. This time we've got Amanda Tarantino. We decided we're going to be a little bit more edgy this time, so thanks to Amanda for helping us. Between us, Dave and myself, we've run over 50 marathons and we have made all the classic mistakes and we've learned so much along the way. And we still regress every now and then and make the odd mistake, but it is all part of it. So if you make the odd mistake on race day, don't worry about it, dig in and carry on. Obviously, Facebook Live, great tool, and it's great to hopefully have so many more of you listening to us tonight and watching than we do at our usual seminars. It'd be great if you could let us know you're there by hitting like or a little love for us as well, because we like a little bit of love, don't we?
We need it, Chris.
Yeah, we need it. We need it. 1 week to go, and little love is really, really appreciated. So thanks for that. And certainly also, if you've got some questions, we've had some in advance that we'll cover off a little bit later on, but if you've got any questions you'd specifically like us to answer, then just fire them across to us and we'll try and answer as many as we can towards the end of the seminar. But then just literally so help us gauge how many are out there. Those of you watching now and are first timers, can you just send us a quick thumbs up so we know how many of you are out there, and we're sure you're there, so we can know you're with us, and that'd be great. But certainly thinking towards our first timers, many of you will be probably quite scared and nervous and wondering, why am I doing this? Am I good enough to do this? Can I do this? I really don't know. Now's the time to banish any of those negative thoughts. You've done the training and you can do this. Convince yourself you can do this. To us, you are just as important as every other runner. We will be there to support and cheer and congratulate you at the finish. So the 6-hour runner and the 2:20 runner are just as important to us. So please, please don't think you're not. As we said before, you are nearly there. You're in touching distance of achieving your goals. Hopefully those of you entered before the 8th of September will have received your race number. Catherine, sorry, I'm Chris. Catherine was last night, so apologies for that. And race programme, so don't forget to get those. If you entered after the 8th of September, you'll have had the email and you'll be picking those up from the help desk on race weekend. Okay, so hopefully you are here. You will have done your last circa 10-mile run today. We had about 150 of us at the training run today, really well attended. And those of you who are used to our training runs know that we are really well supported by our pacers. And we had an amazing day with the pacers, so really good day. So you are nearly there. And one of your prime aims is to get to race day in good condition and injury free. However, with 6 days to go, there's still plenty of time to mess it all up. So that's why we're doing this, to take you through our advice for the last week and tips for race day. So what I'll do now is I'll hand over to Dave and he'll talk you through the next section. So, okay, Dave, over to you.
Okay, well, certainly on the training run this morning, a couple of people asked me about the preparation in the week leading up to the marathon, and it will vary from person to person, but certainly you're going to be continuing the taper to get the best out of yourself. So typically you'll do runs on Tuesday, Thursday, and maybe a little run on the Saturday. certainly the Tuesday run, do it in race kit, a nice little practice for making sure that everything is suiting you for what you're going to be wearing. A mile warm up, 2 miles at race pace, and then back and a cool down. Thursday, very easy, and then Saturday, I would say just a 1 mile pootle around with maybe a couple of little efforts. So that's all you need. Friday and Saturday, well, minimal effort. Just try to stay off your feet, but move around a bit if the wind takes you. But certainly it's all about rest. It's letting your body recharge its batteries and storing up the energy for the challenge that you face next Sunday. And over the next few nights, try to visualize coming over the line with your arms held high and I've done it, I've achieved my target. Bear in mind though that there's a little pimple of a hill at, what mile is it?
It's about 24 miles, Dave, on Sandy Lane.
But the good news is once you get to the top of that and chuck away your crampons and then it's downhill there.
Dave, don't frighten anyone. Sandy Lane is 300 metres, Pete. So it's 300 metres, it's 24.5 miles into the race, but it's only 300 metres.
Yeah. Okay, so the important thing is to decide what race pace you are doing. This is well, you should have decided it ages ago, but better late than never, and stick to it. That's the important thing. And if you find it doesn't work, well, there'll be another race, and you can adjust your target accordingly. So you'll have various plans. You'll have a plan A, which is I want to get 4 hours, and then there'll be plan B. I just want to finish, and there'll be plan C. I don't want to die. Okay, so and we all go through these particular transitions in a race, and there are a lot of other things in between those. But joking apart, be clear what you want to do and make sure that your goal is realistic. So we have pace runners, which I'll be talking about later, between 3 hours and 5 hours, quarter-an-hour intervals. And have a look at the website for the mug shots of these people and their background, and they're fantastic people, like I'll be telling you later, and use them. They're brilliant. And then just continue to taper and make sure that you're fresh and rested for race day.
Just for those words of wisdom, Dave, it is really, really important. Dave was talking about your race plan. You should have that set in stone now, and it's critical that on Sunday morning you don't think I'm feeling so fresh, I'm feeling so amazing, I'm going to run 15 minutes faster than my plan. What you need to do is keep that freshness for the second half of the race, because that is when you'll need it. So certainly stick to your plan, don't change anything now. But there are a couple of key things, and some people that can hit us in these last 6 days. But it's absolutely important that you are fit and well to run on Sunday. It is important, and if you think you're coming down with something, then reevaluate what you're going to do. If it's something light, maybe sniffles, maybe a sore throat, then again, consider whether you have to run, whether you really want to run, and if you do, then adjust your target pace down a little bit, slow down. But certainly our advice, if your symptoms are below the neck, anything goes onto your chest or below, then we would advise you very seriously not to run. Some of our major casualties can come from that.
Can I just interject here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that what you're saying there is exactly what the question we've had from somebody. It's Rachel, who says, I've got an awful cold this weekend. It looks like I'm on drugs. But what would you suggest I do run-wise this week? So that your thing about the head or whatever, I think that applies.
I think, thanks for that. And Rachel, our advice to you would be, if you do no training at all this week, it is not going to harm you at all. So what you want to try and do is focus on recovery and getting in the best possible position for weekend. So certainly don't train, look at recovering and make your decision further on in the race, further on in the week, sorry. It is important. We don't want anything drastic happening to you because you run with an illness or an injury. We will be here next year and the year after that, and there will be plenty of other races as well. We don't want you not to be here next year, so please keep that in mind. And one of my well-worn pieces of advice for this time is to go to the garden centre, get yourself a 6-foot stick and get your penknife and sharpen it very sharp at the end. And if you see anybody sneezing or coughing, get your stick out and poke them, keep them well out of the way. So you don't want to be taking on anybody else's bugs at this stage. It's also important when the nerves start to build up is to remember why you're running, whether that's personal challenge, whether that's for charity, whether that's to beat your mate or beat your own PB. Remember that, keep that in mind and let it help you with motivation. We find roughly a quarter of our runners are running for charity, and really well done to all you guys and girls who are running for charity. I've been asked to talk a little bit about Northern Lights Children's Charity, who are our main race charity this year and next year. Northern Lights Children's Charity operate in the Cheshire and Merseyside and North Wales regions, and what they try and do is they offer a holiday of a lifetime to see Santa in Lapland. I think it's a 4 or 5 day trip in December, and they take a group of children with life-limiting illnesses and give them a time of their lifetime where they can drop their inhibitions, be very well cared for, but just have an amazing time and do something totally different. So if you're thinking you need a little bit more motivation, you haven't chosen a charity yet, then certainly look up Northern Lights Children's Charity. There's a web page on ours, and if you think you can get some last minute sponsorship, then certainly please do that. They'd be very grateful for your help. And also I think just talking over to Elaine, who our Flapjack creator every time, Elaine, if Northern Lights got any metric marathon places left? I think they might have a couple of places left. So someone who's missed out and wanting one of our very, very sought after metric marathon places, then if you contact Northern Lights, they should have a couple of places left. Now on to some practical points, and I think certainly over the next couple of days, what we want to try and do is limit the amount of injury. So one thing I always do about a week out is make sure my toenails are cut. That will reduce the chance of you cutting yourself or getting black toenails. So what you do, if you cut them now, you've got a chance just to look at them towards the end of the week. If you've got any sharp edges, just to clip those again before the race. Certainly helps. You don't want to be finishing with red shoes when you started off blue. Right. Also, hopefully you'll be bringing along supporters with you, and don't forget, for those of you with families, that we have our 1 mile mini marathon. That's still open to entries. There are some entries left. It always sells out, so don't leave it too long. And that's 1 mile around the race course while the main race is going on. So for families, grandmas, kids in pushchairs, anybody, that's open to anybody. And you will get your own tech shirt to run in and your medal, big bling medal at the finish, and a little treat bag as well. So that's something to encourage to pass the time while you're running. Right, I think Dave's going to move over to one side for a second. Danny's going to join us to carry on in a little while, but while Dave slides out of the way while we have
left.
Yeah, a cast change. Just one of the things that as Danny slides in, so you'll gather as Danny joins in, we're euthanizing, not euthanizing the presentation team. So a couple of more things on the build-up is don't carry any excess weight on race day. It's time for a haircut. Choose your race day kit wisely, and we will talk about that a little bit later, because you are probably going to sweat. You will certainly get warm, so certainly don't overdress in terms of kit. And one of the things that one person told me when I was going for a PB, every second counts, so just before the start, don't forget to pick your nose. You don't want to be carrying those extra few grams. Yeah, I was very bummed up that year, by the way. And again, when you've got some quieter moments, don't forget there's a lot of information in the race programme which you will either have been sent with your race number, or if you're picking it up on race weekend, it's available on the website online. So what we'll do now is hand over to Danny, who's going to talk a little bit through the welfare and nutrition side. So over to you, Danny.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, so pretty much what I'm going to talk about is just about how you prepare for the race in the days before. So I'm sure you've all heard of the carbohydrate loading strategy, why this is important, and also what other factors are key to help maximise your performance for next Sunday. So particularly coming to Friday and Saturday, they're the main carbohydrate loading days. The reason that you do this is because carbohydrates are king for performance. They are the main energy source. So it's increasing every meal and snack to dominate each meal as a carbohydrate based option. So this includes your breakfasts as cereals and oat based options, including some bread, toast, fruit juices as well. Your main meals as well, increasing your portions of potatoes, rice, pasta, etc. Your typical staples in your meals. And your snacks then are much easier to digest carbohydrate options. So something in between the meals, something nice and easy like saurine, banana breads, some crumpets perhaps. Something that's really easy to digest and won't cause any discomfort, particularly if you're eating these larger portions on the day before, so Saturday. So you're looking to reduce your fibre as well that day, so it's making it easy to digest and you're not feeling bloated or heavy on Sunday morning. So you're still going to have some vegetables in there, but you're going to reduce those portions. A few good options are spinach and beetroot as well. These are particularly high in nitrates, which helps the blood supply to the muscles, so it makes it more efficient to deliver oxygen for enhanced performance. So also on these days, hydration is a massive factor. You're not just looking to hydrate on the morning of the race, it's actually in the days before as well. So you're eating all these carbohydrates to load up your muscle and your liver glycogen stores, as they are the key energy source. And for every gram of carbohydrates to make up this glycogen, your body will use up 3 grams or milliliters of water as well. So you need to hydrate well. So it's just making sure that you are feeling hydrated. A good determinant of this is looking at your urine colour, so making sure it's quite clear. If it's looking yellow, then you are dehydrated and you need to drink more. Electrolyte drinks, such as the high five options, and Lucozade drinks contain these important salts to help retain the water in the cells and the muscles. So that's a really good thing to include in those days. A couple of other things probably to avoid in the days before are things like red meats, because they really slow down your digestion. Any spicy foods, something you really want to avoid come race day. And basically just not trying anything new as well, because you don't know how your body will respond. And that's very important for the morning of the race.
Yeah. I think the spicy food is really important, because someone was once talking to me about a very unfortunate in-race occurrence, and they had what they termed as a curry explosion. So I'll let your minds think the worst of that one.
Yeah, so no vindaloos on Saturday night, definitely not. And then a massive factor as well, which may not be considered as nutrition, but making sure you're getting a good night's sleep on Saturday night and also on Friday night as well, really helps make sure you're relaxed and recovered. Yes, you may be nervous, so it's trying to do everything that you can to make sure you've got the right environment in your bedroom, so making sure it's darkened, you're not drinking too much water too close to bedtime in case of disturbed sleep need in the toilet. Reducing your caffeine intake, so a lot of athletes who may use caffeine before the race will completely avoid caffeine in the days before to get that extra benefit. But if you like tea and coffee, then having a cut-off point of about 2 o'clock on Saturday to help get out of your systems. It takes up to about 6 hours for caffeine to really leave the system. And then last thing, which everybody is a culprit for, is using their phones, tablets, watching TV too close to bed. The blue light which is emitted from these devices can disturb your body's melatonin levels and your body's circadian rhythm. So it disturbs your body's ability to switch off and to stay asleep. So there's a few factors for up to the night before. And when it comes now to race day, so your pre-race meal will be something you have practiced before. It has to be. So you know how your body responds to this, what time you need to have it. And it's typically around 3 hours before the race. So you're looking about 6 o'clock in the morning. So it is an early start, so you need to go to bed early the night before. Make sure you're getting that as close to 8 hours as you can. And this will be typical things like a bowl of porridge with additional dried fruits, some honey, maybe some peanut butter, and a glass of fruit juice maybe around the toast. This will be very different for a lot of runners. Scrambled eggs on toast or some bagels with peanut butter or jam. If you get quite nervous before races and find that you don't like to eat food, then looking more to the liquid-based options of making a smoothie or a milkshake to help get something in. As this is typically just a matter of topping up your energy levels. Because you've loaded up well the days before, this just helps maintain your blood glucose levels so you're primed, ready for the race. So not trying to make sure that you're not eating a big meal any sooner than 2 hours before the race. So that's 7 o'clock should be the cut-off for everyone. If you like to eat a bit earlier, so maybe 5 o'clock, then maybe having a gel or a banana about an hour before the race would be fine to top up. But making sure you're well hydrated as well is another factor, as your body will sweat whilst you sleep. So having a good glass of water with your breakfast, maybe sipping on some electrolyte drinks, maybe a Lucozade in the build up to that race, but nothing that's going to make you feel too heavy come the start of the race. And then as you are in the race, it's a matter of just, there's a lot of misconception about what the best thing to do is. A lot of people say, well, as long as you drink X amount of water during, then you'll be fine, but it's different for everyone. So I like to advise that as long as you turn up on race day at the start line well hydrated, then you can drink to your comfort levels. So as long as you're topping up throughout the race, and then you're not avoiding drinking or having any gels too late, and then you're playing catch up, because your body will already be dehydrated or already be using up your glycogen levels. So it's topping up throughout the race in small amounts as you go on.
It's really important what Danny said there about topping up in small amounts, because actually over drinking in race can actually be very dangerous. So as Danny said before, the advice is drink small amounts and regularly, and drink to your thirst.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because your body will tell you if you're needing a drink, so it's listening to it, but not trying to down a bottle of Lucozade in one go, because that will just sit heavy. So it's doing it quite smart. But these will be strategies which everyone should have tried in training as well. So knowing which gels, drinks work best for you. The High Five and the Lucozade ones will be on offer at the fueling stops, which are really good products for the race. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If there's anything you feel I haven't covered, then please drop a question on Facebook, and I'm happy to answer them anything specific for you.
Thanks for that, Danny.
Okay,
we'll have another seamless cast change as Danny steps to one side but stays close by, ready for your questions. Welcome back, Dave. And I think, again, just talking about that, as I said, we just got a message here from CJ James, who says, nice work, Danny Webber, thanks for your help with my plan. loving it and feeling the effects. So there you go, Danny. There's somebody who's Danny's helped along the way. So well done there. So Jane, just going back to race morning and that last hour, I think Danny talked about staying hydrated and what have you. But one of the big things I'm going to be talking about is toilets. Yeah, so toilets, for those seasoned marathon runners will know, toilets and toilet stops are absolutely crucial to having a good day. And nerves will help. So thinking about that, Danny talked about your last meal in the evening. I think if you make that between around about 5 p.m, maybe latest 7 o'clock, nature do its work and you were ready. And again, not carrying that extra weight on race morning. But also thinking about final toilet stops, is the advice is really to very much stop drinking about an hour before the start. So that gives you time so your bladder isn't full on the start line. So we'll keep that in mind. So, like most of you, we've been watching the weather forecast over the last week or so. And having changed every day, it seems to be stabilising now. And what the prediction currently is pretty much perfect, 11 to 13 degrees with a gentle breeze. Hopefully get some sunshine, some cloud and maybe the odd light shower. But once you're running, the odd light shower can actually be a benefit, not a hindrance. So that's absolutely nothing to worry about.
And that ties in neatly with a note from Alan Fisher. Please can we not have the weather we had today on my training run? Well, our training run was perfect, except for the last 5 minutes when it peed down.
But anyway, we will do our dance and prayer to the weather gods on the day and hopefully they'll work. So, again, talking about weather forecast, 11 to 13 degrees is not cold. You might feel a little bit chilly before the start, so bring an old top with you or a bin bag so you can keep warm. But certainly 11 to 13 degrees, you don't need a jacket, you don't need a waterproof, because all they're going to do is make you far too hot and again be carrying excess weight. You will warm up nicely over the first couple of miles, and I'm sure at 11 to 13 degrees the vast majority of you will be running in a vest or a short sleeve top. That will be absolutely fine. Okay, so looking back more towards the hints and tips and making these are the aim of these is to help you not miss anything. So our advice is to lay your kit out once you've had the dinner, spread it all out on the dining table, make sure it's ready for you. But also we talked about nothing new. It's really, really important that you don't wear anything new. And those of you who are planning fancy dress, costumes, hopefully you'll have run in those before. 2 years ago when we had the pantomime horse runners, we had two guys dressed as a pantomime horse running up and down the Millennium Greenway in Chester doing 20 miles, and everyone thought they were really bizarre. But again, it worked for them because 2 weeks later they set the world record. And you can't imagine one guy with his head up the backside of another one running around chasing the other for less than 4 hours they did it in. So don't worry, if you get overtaken by somebody in fancy dress and what have you, they could be near elite runners, so don't think that that's knocking your performance on the day. So we talked about get all your kit ready, pin your number to your race top, get that ready. Charge up your watch, it's going to be really, really important. And certainly talk about don't run in new shoes or new kit. They should all be broken in, and the same should apply to your charity vests. They'll all be worn in by now. Even double knotting my running shoes, sometimes they can come undone on a long run. So what I tend to do is tuck them under one of the loops further down the shoe, and they certainly won't come undone then. Those of us gents, when I go like this and say plasters, you know exactly what I mean. Waterproof plasters, guys, because the number of people I see on the finish line with the red stripes down the front. So you won't notice it when you're running, but as soon as you hit the shower, you will squeal like a pig. So certainly waterproof plasters, if not plasters, lots of Vaseline to help there. If you get bored over the day or two beforehand and you've got nothing to do, then look at the race programme. There's lots of information in there, so make sure you're okay with everything there. Set your alarm clocks. Set all your alarm clocks for race morning. I normally have 2 or 3 alarms. And as Danny said before, go to bed early. Have your room as relaxing as possible. Hopefully have the children or any screaming nervous adults well out of the way, nice and calm. And even if you don't manage to sleep that much, you will be relaxing and resting, ready for the morning.
Chris, we had a note in from Deirdre of Doncaster.
Deirdre from Doncaster last time?
Yes. And she said, is it okay to have sex before the marathon? And I think in the previous 6 months is fine.
If you're anything like me, Deirdre, once every 6 months is more than enough anyway. So, I got a bit red there. So we're moving on quickly to race morning. Talk about get up early, allow plenty of time. You've probably been awake for hours anyway, so make sure you get up very early. Have your breakfast early. As Danny said before, 6 AM is probably between 6 and 7 at the absolute latest will be the ideal time. Running back to the toilet theme, go to the loo. Your nerves will be kicking in, so nature will do its course. And then before you leave the house, hotel or wherever you're staying, final check, make sure you've got everything. Hopefully your kit will be on, you'll have your bin bag, your warm pullover or what have you, ready for the start. And allow plenty of time, aim to get to the race course, preferably an hour and a half, maybe latest an hour before the start of the race. And remember that there'll be a lot of traffic and all of that traffic will be aiming for the same place. So if a journey normally takes you 20 minutes, I'd allow 3/4 of an hour on race morning. It will take longer. So when you get to the race course, what do you do? Well, what was my theme before, Dave, that I was going to keep returning to?
I've forgotten, Chris. The loos.
Loos, well done, Dave. Well done, Dave. So, what do you do? First time you park up, you go to the loos. There may be a little queue for the portaloos. There shouldn't be too long because we have well over 100 of them. We are famed for our numbers of loos. There's no mega queues at our events. So, what do? You go in, you go to the loo. You come out, you have a little walk round and you rejoin the queue and go again. So, and again, I'm sort of talking about race morning, nerves are probably going to be building quite highly. So that's the time to actually take yourself an hour before the start, find a quiet place. And we do ask you, for the respect of the queues, not to have that quiet place in the loos. Just find a quiet place and just spend 5 minutes reviewing your race plan and why you're doing this and why you're there. And all the training that you've done and the fact that you, no matter how nervous you are actually ready to go. Remind yourself of why you're there. Take confidence in the months of training behind you because an exciting and rewarding day is just ahead of you. And if you're running the race with a training partner, we know we see it these days, even the big guys in the rugby matches, they'll have a group hug and a motivational chat. Do that and spur each other on and share your goals with your running colleagues. Okay, we're now probably round about half an hour, 20 minutes before the start. Probably half an hour because there will be queues at the loo. So what do? Back to the loo, last minute. You'll have finished drinking about 8 o'clock at the latest. So hopefully by then, back to the loo, quick loo stop. But again, we're going to have those 100 odd portable toilets at the start. But don't worry, because there are portable toilets on the course every 3 miles at all the drink stations. So, after that, you're coming out, probably, I'm about to launch into your next section there,
you always
so
do
apologies
that, Chris.
for that.
I always steal my lines.
Over to you, champ.
Right, in terms of warming up before the off, people have their own little rituals. It's certainly best to keep moving, keep pootling around in between toilet stops, of course. And doing some stretching, maybe take about 15 minutes to do all of that, and it keeps you in the zone and keeps you nice and hopefully nice and warm and getting fluid. So and while you're doing that, just suss out where you should be at the start. You can always run down by the actual rails and say, oh right, that's the start pen I need to be in. So you can go on a mission to find that. If you're going to run with a pacer, you need to be in the relevant pen 15 minutes before the off. They will get crowded. But you can spot the pace runners because they'll have bright vests and a lollipop, a baton, with showing the time that they're going to be doing. So they will be easily spotted. We get lots of questions about how the pace runners tackle the course, and it will vary from course to course, but ours is, I would say, moderately simple. They are going to be running at a consistent pace within a few seconds of the target pace. They will probably, over the course, and certainly the first half of the race, will put a few seconds each mile in the bank. And over the course of the marathon course, if you're adding just 2 seconds per mile, that gives you a nice comfortable amount of cushion, if you like, of almost a minute. So when you get to that little pimple at Sandy Lane, you can that will just tide you over until you get to the top. So the pacers they won't accelerate to maintain, or rather they won't push up the level of effort to maintain the race pace going up a hill. So if you're going at, say, 9-minute miles, they won't keep it going at 9-minute miles to get over the hill, because the level of effort required to do that is going to be significant. So that it'll slacken off a bit, but of course you'll hopefully have a bit of a down descent on the other side to make up for it, which I mentioned before, because from the top of Sandy Lane to the race course is predominantly downhill. Well, that's what I found when I last did the marathon. So the course itself is predominantly flat anyway. It's just slightly uphill for the second half in places.
Well, more undulating going, because for every climb there's a descent.
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah. So we've also had questions about, well, what should I do when we first start off? And what you don't do is gallop away thinking, oh, I'll be all right for the first few miles and then I'll just settle down. Don't do that. I said before, it's about a consistent pace. That's what you do. It's like a fuel economy run in a car. The way to get more miles per gallon or litre from a car is to be very, very gentle on the accelerator, and you don't have to brake. So it's just pootling along, well, not necessarily pootling along, but at 60, but it's keeping a consistent pace, and that's what you need to do. Many years ago, I wrote an article for a national magazine about what not to do, or rather what to do if you want a really bad race. All the other magazines had, 10 tips for having a good race, so I turned it on its head, and that made for a much more fun article. And I would say the same with the pace runners. If the pace runners said, right, for the first mile, we're going to go at 10k race pace, because that'll be fun, and you'll feel really, really fresh, and it'll be great. No, they won't. Okay, so they're going to just keep that consistent pace going, and as long as you keep them in sight, because you might not be right up behind them, you could be a few metres or tens of metres behind them. As long as you keep that gap consistent, then you're going to be okay. So you will feel excited, just calm down, okay? And make sure that your GPS watch has picked up all its satellites. So many times I've been at the beginning of a race and, oh my God, it's not picked up, what am I going to do? So really check that out. Yeah, so turn your watch on about plenty of time before the start. As Dave said, we've all done that. Yeah. Oh bugger, I've not turned my GPS on. Make sure that's done and logged on before, plenty of time before the start. Yeah, and you should, the first half at least should be done at a pace where you think, oh, this is quite easy. This is okay. This is within my capabilities. If you're breathing quite hard, well, that's not a good sign. That's for later in the race. So in terms of drink stations, well, there are water stations and there are water and gel stations as well. So I'm mentioning it now because what I don't want you to do is to try any product that you haven't tried before. It must be, you know, what you're used to, and that might mean you have to carry your own gels, or you've been practicing with the ones that we've been supplying. Yeah, Chris? Okay, so there you go.
Thanks for that, Dave. And it's again talking about energy and what have you. I think you hear marathon runners talking about hitting the wall at about 18, maybe 20 miles. I think these days, if you carb up properly and take on the drinks, you take on the gels, the energy drinks before you start, you should really be able to hold that off. When I got it right, I didn't actually hit the wall. So it's really, really important to actually take on that nutrition all the way through the race, not just when you need it. Okay, right, so we'll be coming to your questions in a little while, but just a few more things to think about. Those of you running the metric, you'll be running out about 8 miles before turning around and coming back. When you turn around, you'll be joining the main marathon runners. So be friendly, support them, because when you've done 8, they've done 18 miles. So, and certainly try not to bunch up and be a pack if you're with a group of friends, so that the marathon runners can actually get past you as well. So it's really important. We're talking about that second half, and when you get to 18, 20 miles, and certainly when you get over 14 in the metric, it's going to get tough and you will hit those times. So it is important to believe in yourself, have a mantra, something really, really simple, just I can do it, I will do it. And you just keep repeating that to yourself is really important. Because for 99% of us at some stage in the race, it's going to get tough and you're going to feel as though, ouch, this is really hurting. And sometimes when you're on the climbs, the key to that is to shorten your stride and try and maintain the same effort level, not necessarily the same pace. Then you won't wear yourself out on the climb. And it is really important, something it took me a while to learn, is that to a certain extent, your brain can override your legs. I think your legs might be saying, I'm tired, but all you need to do is just keep thinking that next mile. So I certainly say, once you get to halfway, just concentrate on the next mile. And then once you get to 22 miles maybe, and it's really starting to hurt, go lamppost by lamppost or tree by tree. And you're really taking it down to small distance, and I'm just going to hold, I'm just going to maintain, I'm just going to keep going for that distance. For those of you who are extremely lucky and you're into the last 4 or 5 miles of the race, everything's gone to plan and you're feeling really good, then that's the time to actually try and up the pace a little bit. If you're feeling really good, up your pace, you've got 4 or 5 miles to go, and absolutely blast your target time and have an amazing time doing that. Again, for those of you towards the end of the race, when it's starting to get a little bit tough, we do have our amazing race angels at Sandy Lane. They're just after the final drink station, and they will be there to encourage you and cheer you on in the final stages, particularly Dave's Pimple of a Hill.
Yeah, but they won't actually carry you up the hill.
No.
Because I've asked them.
You know, we did apply to the council for planning permission to get an escalator put in, but the IAAF said no, they wouldn't approve that. And anyway, most of you'd be running far faster than an escalator can go anyway. But seriously, that Sandy Lane hill, all you've got to do is look down, shorten your stride, keep the effort level the same, and it will soon be over. Okay, and I'm telling you, you tell yourself, you can do it. And one of the most amazing things for me is to be on that finish line and to congratulate you and thank you all on the finish line on the completion of the event. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a real thrill and a real honour. And don't forget, we'll be there and to share your success. There'll be a lot of people supporting you along the way. And once you get over the finish line, you've caught your breath, then then's the time to celebrate. And as part of the celebration, some of you might have said, oh look, Dave and Chris have got different shirts on. Well, Dave has a vintage shirt on. You may have seen this on Amanda's social media post. This is the shirt that you're going to be getting. It's really cold in here today, so I have got my hand warmers on that are really useful in the winter, that will keep you warm. There is a key pocket on the back, And these are the best shirts we've ever done. We wanted to do something really special for our 10th event, and we're really thrilled to be able to do these. So we've received a lot of positive comment and hope you'll enjoy running and racing in them over the winter. Talks about the medal, maybe you've seen those as well. This is your medal, and some of you might have gone for the eye-tab on the back, which will have your time on it, just really to preserve that and share that. And then, hang on a minute, Dave, give me a hand with that, with this next one, because those of you who've run with us the 10K and the half, you'll have chance to have not only your finishers medal, but the Chester Triple 2019. Amazing medal, we put a lot of time into this, and certainly take care. It's one serious piece of quality, stylish bling, so I hope you'll enjoy those. And if you've missed out this year, then there's 2020. We will be doing the triple again next year. So, again, some of us, we wear our medals with pride. We have them on the dining room wall. As you can see, mine aren't. Unfortunately, mine are in the box in the bedroom. But one thing we are doing this year is we've teamed up with a company called Notch, and they do these bracelet type things. And what they're doing is they're doing some specific rings to celebrate the races with us. And sometimes when I'm looking at the sweetie counter, tempted by a huge bag of Pringles or crisps or a Mars bar, I sometimes look down and it's my personal reminder, say, hang on, fatty. Just have a small amount, share it with somebody else. We don't say don't have anything to celebrate. So Notch, who do these, will be there. They'll have a stall on race weekend. Okay, I think we've covered most of the bit we wanted to do. We'll move on to some of your questions now. So Dave, as the moderator of questions, what have we got?
Right, what time is the mini marathon, Chris?
The mini marathon, Dave, starts at 10:30. As I said before, we've still got a few places left for that one. So
right, what advice would you give a rugby player running a marathon? From Dexy, I advise leave the ball at home.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah. Well done on that one.
Send an ambulance.
I didn't write that one. Emily Vaughan wants to know. Oh, this is to Danny actually.
Oh. Come back, Danny, quick.
Come rejoin us. What do you advise for recovery after the race?
Okay.
Take your chair in, Danny.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, kneel down. Okay, so recovery. So depending on the level of runner you are, so a lot of the advanced ultra endurance athletes may be running again over the next few days, but again the early recovery period is to help replenish the body's glycogen stores and also to help the muscles, bones, everything to recover. So you're looking at the 3 hours of recovery, so that is replacing the carbohydrates used. So some simple fast-acting sugars are perfect for that, and you'll find some goodies in your goodie bag, which are some great snacks and drinks.
Haribo is amazing post-race.
There you go. Can't get enough. The repair is the protein, so good quality protein, anything whey-based, so milk is a very good option for that, and I'll come back to that. And the third R is rehydration, so getting your fluids back in, water, electrolyte drinks, Lucozades, all together they cover all the bases. The best recovery drink, which research has clearly shown, is actually milk. So getting yourself a bottle of chocolate milk or whatever flavour milk you prefer is a great recovery drink, as it's a naturally high source of protein, a very good high source of protein. It's got the natural sugars plus additional sugars which your body needs, and it's fluids with natural electrolytes as well.
Danny, can I ask, what would you do if you were a vegan in those cases?
If you're a vegan, then it would be a soy-based option, because it's easier to have liquid-based drinks for recovery rather than trying to eat loads of food. So soy milk is the next best alternative. As with regards to the protein content, soy is the next best option as opposed to whey protein.
Yeah, thank you.
If the marathon is your end goal and you've achieved it, recover well, have a milkshake, and then get to the pub. Enjoy yourself, celebrate, but help your body to recover first before you start drinking more than you should.
Brilliant, Danny.
Yeah? Okay?
Okay, well, I've got one here from Trev Jones, and obviously we've been talking about Sandy Lane and Dave's little pimple here. So, what's the elevation of Sandy Lane, says Trev? Well, the elevation in terms of percentage is actually relatively light, but it's about 4 or 5%. But at 24 miles, even 4 or 5% is going to seem a bit of a struggle. But it only lasts for just over 300 metres, so just take it easy, keep your head down, shorten your stride length and try and keep your effort level the same, and Sandy Lane will disappear in a dream. You'll just hear everybody else moaning and you'll be absolutely fine. Right, Vincent Coyne is obviously being really optimistic. Does the race course finish get waterlogged? Vincent probably ran with us a couple of years ago when it was getting a bit slippery and we had some rain towards the end of the race. We've actually changed the way the finish of the race on the grass moves this year to the edge of the main racetrack, which is far better drained, so hopefully we won't have that. There'll be a little bit of give in the grass, but it certainly shouldn't become waterlogged then, so there's no need to worry about that. Right, we've got the man or the lady with no name. Is there a link to the course profile? Well, yes there is, and it's on the website. If you look at the race routes section there, that's there on the website. And then just looking at a couple of the questions we've had in advance. This next one comes from Bodger, and Bodger, I think I know who you are. And he calls himself an older, relatively inexperienced runner running his first marathon. What's the one tip we can give to him to get him to the finish line? Well, Bodger, I would certainly, you don't need that Zimmer frame you've got in your spare room. Be confident that you're not going to need that. But it's all about what we said before. You have a target race pace. Do not start off too early. Treat it as a half marathon and then plus 13 individual miles and run them 1 mile at a time. And certainly just break it down and run it 1 mile at a time. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, Chris, I'm interested in the fact he's highlighted that he's older. He's no different from even a 20-year-old doing it. If you do the training, you can do it. So get on with it and we'll see you on race day.
And Bodger, I happen to know for a fact that you are probably significantly younger than Dave. So I have to get my ageist joke in the Dave every time.
Thank you.
And Dave is an absolute testament to what running and keeping fit across your life can achieve. Dave is just 2 years younger than Methuselah and doing look amazing on that one.
It's the alcohol.
Yeah, but not in the last week. Not in that. Well, last 2 days.
Yeah,
okay, Dave. So, moving on to Gina Lewis. What's the best way to tackle hills on the route? Gina recently ran a race with a particularly big hill in the middle, after which her legs went to jelly, and it took her a while to get her legs back. So, just going back and repeating this one, Gina, the secret to tackling hills, and you'll probably find our pacers will be doing this as well, is easing off the pace, shorten your stride, and just try and run to a constant effort level. That's the secret. No magic in it. Just don't kill yourself on the up. And then on the descent, just go a little bit quicker just to get that time back. Overall, you won't lose anything. Okay.
We've had a question from Lucy about do the pacers keep a constant pace? I think we've really answered that. And as we said before, they're very easy to spot in the starting pens. Good luck, and I hope you do well following whatever pacer you decide to go with.
And thanks to Gail here now, because the next 4 questions are from Gail Jameson. Gail says, are family allowed to run with us through the finish? My kids are getting very excited. Well, certainly, Gail, hopefully if you haven't got 20 children, and it's just a couple of them, they're very welcome to run with you through the finish. They run at their own risk and they need to be careful of other runners around them. And so just be very careful that you're not blocking other runners. But apart from that, 1 or 2 members of your family are very, very welcome to run through the finish with you.
Right, her second question, with the second half more challenging than the first, marginally, is it advisable to be ahead of average pace at 13 miles in? Well, I suppose the simple answer to that is, yeah, you should be just a little bit ahead, maybe by about a minute, but that's more than enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Certainly no more than a minute, because you'll have expended too much energy doing that, and you'll pay for that later on.
Yeah, and our other question was, how do you control your speed in the early miles when legs and mind are fresh from tapering? Does it use more energy resisting the urge to go faster? That's a belter of a question, isn't it? Yeah. Just calm down. That's all I say.
Calm down.
Yeah, you'll be all right. And if you've earmarked a pacer to run with, just do what they're doing, and you'll be fine.
And if you're not with a pacer but you're running with a GPS watch, just keep an eye on your pace and just make sure that. And if you're just creeping ahead, back off a little bit. It's really important. Okay, so Danny was about to slide in, but he's being a youngster, he's actually on his social media, so I'll cover this one for you, Danny. So, Gail's last question was, do you recommend a first gel at the 5.8 mile water stop, or do you consider this too late? So Danny's just sliding back in. Just shuffle in.
Certainly not too late. If it's about an hour or so that you're getting to that point, then yeah, it's definitely about the right time. So the recommended intake for carbohydrate during that is between 30 and 60 grams per hour, trying to hit closer to that 60 grams. If you're looking to finish the race in about 4.5 hours, then around that 30-ish mark would be fine. So having that gel around the hour mark is about that per hour. You'll be topping up, there'll be drinks available as well, so yeah, no problem at all.
Thanks for that, Danny. But if you're a bit nervous and you want to take one earlier on, maybe at the first drink station at 3 miles, then take your own gel with you and just have that at 3 miles. You won't be carrying it for too long.
Yeah,
thanks for that, Danny.
It's better to be doing that and then playing catch up. So it's never too late, really.
Yeah. So this is a different Danny now. Can somebody cycle alongside the runner? Sorry, Danny, but this is an absolute no-no from our point of view. It's very much a health and safety issue. If you're towards the front, it can be seen as help assistance, so it's actually legal. But certainly for the main pack and people further back, it's actually, we're running on closed roads. So there should be no cyclists, and there'll certainly be no cars there. But also, I think there'll be plenty of other runners around, and it's really from a health and safety point of view, as well as the assistance, that we say, please don't cycle. If you cycle alongside the runner. But if you do want to get multiple points, then look at the map and the spectator points. As a cyclist, you can zip around and get ahead of the runners and be there to support them in a number of places. Okay, we now have Greta from Grimsby. Plastic bottles and recycling. This is a tough one for us, and ideally we would live in a world where we could get enough hydration and we would eliminate the plastics. But as race organisers, our responsibility principally is towards the welfare of those runners in the race. And it's really, really important that with drink stations being roughly 3 miles apart, that we allow people to keep properly hydrated. Somebody like myself, I need that 330ml, which is going to be in those bottles, and I will take that on gradually across the next 3 miles. I've really struggled in races where they've supplied cups, and I've become very badly dehydrated, because if you try drinking out of a cup, it goes everywhere but in your mouth. So from a runner welfare point of view, we do use sports cap bottles, but be assured that all those that are discarded on the course, and hopefully not flung 200 feet into the farmers' fields, but discarded either in the bins by the drink stations or on the edge of the road, we do pick them up and they all go back into a closed loop recycling scheme where they are recycled into plastics again and reused. Okay, and last one I think for now is Lindsay asking about kids' activities. Well, hopefully, Lindsay, your children will be entered into the mini marathon, so that will keep them occupied for part of the time. But we also have a children's zone in the pavilion, which is where the help desk is, from 8:30 until midday. But also for the children and those not so childlike. We've got some inflatable obstacles by the finish between 10 and 2:30. So again, this should be plenty to keep you occupied along the way. Golly, that's an hour gone. We've gone an awful long time. We've gone longer than we planned, but hopefully we've had time to answer a lot of questions, and hopefully you're feeling a little bit more relaxed, prepared and confident for race day. It's a massive thanks from us for trusting your training in our races. We will be there with our 700 volunteers, all our crew. Our total focus is for you to have an amazing race, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the finish. So thank you. Good night from all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.